tickets for kaiju here. You're welcome. This is the Aquabats Super Show, Season 1.
The Aquabats. The Aquabats? The Aquabats. Ah, yes. I remember the Aquabats, a silly band of ska-playing superheroes who played upbeat music and created probably my favorite parody song, and I fell asleep on my arm. Well, a decade has passed since I listened to them, and they have since ditched their horn section and are now starring in a Monster of the Week type television series. The production value was much better than I was expecting, and honestly, really great for just any production. The lighting, camera work, editing, and sound effects are all top notch. The monsters are a mixed bag though. Some are great, some not so much. They're a nice mix between makeup, stop animation, CG, and suitmation effects. One of them is a giant floating eyeball that I'm pretty sure was featured in the artwork and title of one of their old albums. So it's cool to see them adding things in their children's show for their older fans. The show's Disembodied Voice is great, which is saying something since it seems to be something many movies, shows, and video games mess up. It's often too calm or too angry, but the one in the Aquabats Super Show fits perfectly. There's some actors that I enjoy that I haven't seen in a while, like the main character from I Love You Beth Cooper and John Hader, who is most notably the title character in Napoleon Dynamite and one of the leads in The Benchwarmers. Weird Al is also there, but honestly he's always popping up in shows anyways. Their pajamas are pretty sweet too. There's a short cartoon in the middle of each episode that the characters in the main show find and watch. At first it's a bit weird, but later on it's usually a nice change of pace. I like that it's an ongoing storyline, whereas the main show is more of a Monster of the Week type formula with no overlapping plot. It's also humorous when you think they found something useful for the circumstance that they're in, but it's really just one of these bits. There's also a cartoon in every episode about this guy, who I'm assuming is a literal aquatic bat. These are just little shorts with no dialogue or overlapping plot, and have no relation to the stories going on in either the live action or the other animated storyline. They're not particularly hilarious, but they're also not awful, as they're extremely short. As with every other show without an overlapping plot, the non-animated part of the show gets sort of uninteresting if you're marathoning it, but this does allow there to be many different enemies. Sadly, the Aquabats are the only characters, aside from the cartoon ones, that are featured in more than one episode. The songs are alright, but nothing compares to the songs of theirs that I used to listen to, which is a big disappointment, as after not listening to them for so long, I figured they'd have a bunch of newer hits thrown in the show, just waiting for me to love. The Aquabats have a long history with a lengthy list of past members, each with their own superhero persona. The most famous being Travis Barker of Blink-182 fame, but it would have been cool to see any Aquabat, even a new one created for the show, outside of the main five to show up even for a brief moment to help out or for even just a cameo. Especially if it was one of the horn players so they could break out one of their old songs. On a side note, my 3-year-old watched this with me in its entirety. Sure, he got distracted / stir crazy at times, and we stopped the show to continue later, but it's still one of the few live action things he'll watch, so the Aquabats apparently did a good job making the show interesting for the youngins. A lot of the time when we're playing now, he'll say he's an Aquabat, usually Jimmy the Robot, instead of the Batmans and Spider-Mans that used to be his go-tos. The three-headed lady did scare him quite a bit though. He wasn't crying or anything, just hiding, but with his head out so he could continue to see if our crime-fighting musical troupe would stop her. Sadly, the pilot episode isn't included in Season 1. Well, it's on the DVD, but not on Amazon Video or Netflix streaming. It would have been nice to include it or even remake it. The idea of a giant tortilla that spits beans and later guacamole is wonderful, and honestly, I enjoyed that pilot more than any episodes of the first season. It also has this super cool hovercraft and jetpack. There are a lot of things that the actual season did better, like the Aquabats characters. Oh, and the way the battle tram and the dude look.
That was the Aquabats Super Show Season 1. I still think the music video for Super Rad and the pilot are better than any of the actual season 1 episodes, but still good. It's family fun. Recommend it. Probably gonna buy season 2 whenever I get the money. If you have any movies, TV shows you'd like me to review, leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.
The monster.
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4 potato. I'll just have the whole little sandwich. Bah! How about a hand grenade? You guys used to be like popular or something?